Hello and welcome. My name is Evan Branken and this is Adulting 101. Today we're talking about how to buy your first house with Aaron Gennari, a real estate agent from our area. Aaron, take it away.
Hello, my name's Aaron Gennari, and I'm a licensed realtor with Rural and Rural Realtors here in the Quad Cities. The first and most important step, and of course I'm biased as a realtor, to hire that expert. In this case, the realtor would be that expert. They're the one that's going to guide you or quarterback you through the process of buying your home. I like to tell people you should interview that realtor. This is a huge financial commitment you're making, probably at this point, the largest one you've made to date. Why would we walk in and just hire the first person we meet to help us through that process? So talk to your family, your friends, your parents, and see, do they know any other realtors that they've worked with? And find somebody you're comfortable with. Find somebody you like. Find somebody you trust. So now you've hired your realtor. What's the next step? So first we need to interview lenders and get pre-approved for your mortgage. So much like interviewing a realtor, now we need to start looking for a lender. But on top of their personality, you also need to talk to them about their loan products. Different lenders can have different mortgage rates. They can have different programs. They may have different closing costs. All these things can drastically affect your monthly payments. Get them down in writing. Then call up that lender and say, hey, I'd like to go work with you. And they'll give you a pre-approval letter. Based on your income, maybe they're going to say, hey, you can afford a $200,000 house. You also need to talk and look at your budget, because maybe your budget doesn't justify that you can actually spend that much money. We need to go through the buyer consultation. You're going to generally sit down with the agent in their office or maybe in your living room, and he or she's just going to walk you through the journey. What is our wish list? What absolutely can we or can't we live with in a house? What are we looking for? If there's more than one home buyer here, a lot of times it's helpful if both sit down and make these lists separately, then talk together about what are we really looking for, what's really important to us. It's a lot easier to window shop online where you and the agent can sit down and look at 20 or 30 or 40 different houses in 30 minutes. So you've narrowed it down from hundreds of houses on the market down to maybe 5 or 10 that you really want to go see. As you're looking at these, you might also realize, hey, based on what we've been pre-approved for, are our expectations of what we want, do they meet the market, or do we need to change those? When you're looking at houses, you're hopefully looking for that house where 80% of the house is got everything you like, 10% are things that you can change, and the other 10% are things you can live with. All right, so now we get to finally go out and look at houses. This is the fun part of the process. Usually you don't want to set up more than 2 or 3 houses in a day. If you start seeing 4 or 5 or 6 houses, when you get at the end, you're kind of fatigued and they start blurring together. Bring all the decision makers. If you're married or you're buying it with a girlfriend or boyfriend or a spouse or a parent or somebody, it's a lot easier to look at everything together the first time. The second thing is we talked about making a list of the haves that your house has to have, the have-nots that maybe you don't want it to have. Bring that list with you. Write down the address. This is what we really liked about the house. This is what maybe we wanted to improve in the house. We absolutely wouldn't buy the house if they wouldn't make this change for us. If you're out looking at houses, you need to be ready to write an offer if you find the one you like. But you have to be willing to accept that if you sleep on it tonight, that house may not be available tomorrow. The next step is now we get to write the offer. So one of the first things you need to decide is how much earnest money do I want to put down? So earnest money is basically an amount of money that you're going to put down that shows how serious you are about wanting to buy this house. For the most part, you want to look at that earnest money as money that if you walk away from this deal, you're not going to get it back. But if you accept the deal and it goes through, that's going to go towards your down payment and or closing costs. So one of the biggest misconceptions or misnomers I hear from first-time homebuyers is, Aaron, I can't afford the down payment. I don't have 20% to buy a house. The Federal Housing Authority, or FHA government-backed loans, only require 3.5% down payment. But even if you find one that is going to go conventional instead, which is a non-government-backed traditional loan, you still generally only need 5% down. And one final option, if you're a veteran or an active duty military, you potentially qualify for a VA loan, which could be as little as 0% down, or there's a few other different types, but your lender will help you figure that out. What's our offer price going to be? And now this is where it's important. You've hired an expert, you've hired that realtor to help you. But at the end of the day, I can't tell you what to put on that dotted line for the offer. It's got to be a decision that you come up with. It's got to be a decision that you feel good with. Now, there's still several other things on the purchase agreement. We need to decide what inspections we're going to do. And there's a lot of different inspections, as well as if the lender, if you're taking a loan, they're going to require an appraisal. When do you want to move into this house? Or when do you want to own it? And generally with a loan, that's going to take at least 30 to 45 days. But we need to kind of have a target of when you want to move in. 2 final things. We need to talk about any additional addendums or requirements that you want when buying this house. So when you send this offer off, once you sign it, on your half, it's a legally binding contract if they accept it. So we need to put an expiration date on that offer so that if they don't respond back, you're not still on the hook until you call them and say, I don't want it anymore. They could decide just to ignore it and not respond. Or the most common procedure is maybe they're going to counter. Maybe they say, hey, we need $3,000 more. You're going to look at it and say either, yes, we'll accept it, no, we won't. Or C, we're going to counter back and say, maybe we just want to go to $1,500. Finally, hopefully we get to the point where both sides have an accepted contract. Literally on the purchase agreement, there's over 30 different inspections listed you can have. Not every house needs every inspection. What I recommend to all of my clients is we at least hire a whole house inspector. I like to look at the whole house inspector kind of as your family doctor. Maybe they see something and they say, hey, now we need to order another test. If we decide, hey, we need to request these repairs once you already have an accepted offer, that's a counter offer to the contract. If you counter offer, they can just walk away. Not always, but generally the buyer does pay for the inspections. So just know when you're budgeting, maybe $500, $600 for inspections as well. The next step is the lender is going to hire an appraiser to come in to make sure that they're not lending more than the house is worth. Between the lender and the attorney, they're going to ask you for several documentation that you're still employed with the same company. They're going to want to verify income. They're going to want to verify assets. Make sure you know what the lender's requirements are for homeowners insurance and make sure you fulfill that and have that in place by the time you buy the house. Usually the final walkthrough is going to either be the night before or the morning of your closing. Now we're going through to make sure nothing's material changed since when you agreed on the offer. We're at closing day. This is the exciting day. It's a fun day, but there's a few things we just need to make sure we bring. One is bring your government ID, and then two, your lender or your mortgage officer is going to reach out to you and say, this is the exact amount we need you to bring a check for. So make sure you bring those two items with you, and then make sure you stretch out your hands because you're going to sign away your name on a lot of dotted lines for about an hour. So that's hopefully the guide to buy your first house.
Thanks for watching. This has been another video in our Adulting 101 series. If you enjoyed it, please hit like, subscribe, click the bell so you're notified when we release new content. We'll be doing more videos in this series on a variety of topics, but if there's something you really want to hear about, feel free to let us know and we'll try and make a video just for you. Thanks, God bless, and have a great one.